itch again. You know, the itch that only working on the greatest legendarium of all time can scratch. So I've been thinking for a while now that my ever-growing collection of Tolkien books needs some kind of worthy home. Originally I thought about making a Tolkien shelf, but then I had an idea that I liked even more. I thought it would be really cool to make a medieval style chest, you know, weathered wood, a lot of steel on it, heavy, sturdy, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to make a Tolkien chest to house my collection. So without further ado, let's jump into the first step of the project, which is, as always, design. Now the design is something that kind of developed slowly in my mind over the past couple of weeks. Every now and then I did a little drawing, and I'm gonna take you through, the rough steps. This right here was my first drawing. Pretty standard chest, as you would expect. But I personally really resonate with the dwarves and their love of craftsmanship, all that. So I thought maybe I should do a dwarven chest instead. So I developed my sketches to be more angular. This is the first real sketch that I did of how the chest should really look in the end. Next, I laid out all the books in my room and I thought about how much space I really need. Based on this, I made a technical drawing for the chest that I can actually take measurements off of. And then once I had this drawing, I was able to compile a list for all the materials that I need. And with that, I can start working, really. It may or may not get really, really hot in my workshop. I don't know, kind of hard to tell. About 40 degrees according to my thermometer. Whew, spicy. Alright, that's all of the basic pieces done. 4 of my 60 centimeter pieces can't be a 90-degree angle. Now I only have 90-degree angle iron, and I'm gonna have to bend it open to 135 degrees. My plan is to do it hot on the anvil, and I'm gonna need to make a special hardy tool for that. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna give all of the pieces a nice brush with the angle grinder wire brush, and I love that texture on the steel, it looks so great. Obviously such a flat spot here where the weld was isn't really desirable in something like this. So I'm using this burr on my Dremel to recreate these little divots, and once everything is black again, that should really hide the welds well. Look at this, maybe this gives you a little bit of a sense of scale. I can barely fit in here, and I'm not sure if I can get back out. But yeah, that's the first part of the chest, pretty cool, right? Next up is the lid. The lid is probably going to be a little bit more tricky because of the weird angles, but so far so good. I think this turned out pretty nicely. On the center of the lid, I want to have this Tolkien logo right here. And I'm going to attempt to emboss it onto this piece of copper, which I've never done before. I already have my template here, which is mirrored, so I can stick it on the front and then try to trace it. I have these really strange pieces of lead metal that I once dug up from under the ground while metal detecting. And I'm gonna melt these down into a flat disc and use that as my base for embossing the copper. Let me know if you know what this could have been. There was like a whole stack of these things. Also this piece, which is made from lead. Kind of strange. Maybe this is some sort of electrical battery situation. I don't know. These right here are the first pieces of hardware that I'll be making for the chest. These are for the handles on the side, and this slightly longer one is for the locking mechanism in the front. I cut these out with the angle grinder, and now I'm gonna forge in some bevels. That's gonna give it that nice hand forged look. I think it's gonna look pretty sweet. Alright, that's what they look like fresh from the forge. I think the bevels are a great addition. However, the geometry is all out of whack. So I'm just gonna grind that back to its original shape. And then it should be great. I had some trouble removing the forge scales, so I pickled these pieces in some vinegar. And at first I wasn't really sure if it did anything, but I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised. The scale comes very easily off. For mounting the hardware, I obviously can't have a bolt like this on there. So what I've done is I've taken bolts like these, I have squared them up on the anvil, and then I've faceted the head. So then you have these machine screws with a rivet head. Pretty simple stuff, but it has a really great effect. While straightening out these hinges, I just landed a clean hammer blow right on my thumb. So you've just seen me finish up these hinges. They are now riveted together as one solid piece. Next up I'm going to make some more thinner rivets, and then I'll try to rivet these to the frame of the chest. Hopefully that works out. And there you have it. With the hinges riveted in place, this can now be called a functioning chest, maybe? Pretty cool. Still a bit squeaky. We need some oil on that. But yeah, the hinges work. They look cool from the outside. The rivets here. And on the inside, they are completely flush. I had almost no overhang from the surface here, but I still hit them with the flap disc a little bit. But yeah, it went as planned. Fantastic. There you go, baked planks. Hell yeah. The condition of the steel that I'm using kind of dictates a very rustic, beaten up look. So obviously the wood is going to have to be weathered as well to fit that. And for that I'm going to set up a jar here, a nice glass container with some steel wool and some vinegar. Alright, let's see how the goop has been doing these past couple of weeks. Oh, hell yeah. That's what I call them before and after. Look at that. Almost looks like charred wood. I like it. Pretty cool. Alright, I got my 82 hex screws here that I need for the assembly. Obviously I'm gonna have to modify these. First I'm gonna again forge a square here at the end which will then in a second operation get these facets to have sort of a rivet-like look. So I dipped all of the screws in some hydrochloric acid, because if you do forging on screws which are zinc plated, it's best to take the zinc off first, but I miscalculated how much bubbling would occur. I decided that I should make some feet for this chest as well, so it doesn't scrape around on the floor too much. And I'm gonna try making them out of these scraps of oak, which I still had. You saw me finish forging the last bit of hardware that was still needed. I've pickled it in some vinegar for the past week to get rid of the forge scale. Now all that's left to do there is to give it that brass finish, and then I can start mounting the hardware to the wood, I believe. The frame itself is all but finished. And then the last final big step in this project is to get the upholstery done for the inside. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, because that's something I haven't really done before. But I'm sure it'll be alright. To mount the hardware, I'm going to bolt through the wooden planks, but because they're kind of thin, I don't really want to do counter bores for these large nuts, so I'm turning them down a bit. Alright, now it's time for some upholstery. Exciting stuff. It's not really my field of knowledge per se, but my mom knows a little bit more about it and she's going to assist me in a minute here. The basic idea is that I have this upholstery fleece, which is a very light, fluffy synthetic material. And I'm going to glue that to my wooden planks. And then draped across this fleece, there will be this nice dark red velvet. It's going to get nailed to the sides of the wood. And then also on the surface I will have some decorative nails. It should look really nice, and I'm really excited to get going. Very nice. So we have all the pieces cushioned now. It's time for the final task on this chest really, which is putting in the decorative nails. I've already started laying out the pattern here. Nice. The chest is finished and I'm beyond happy. It turned out fantastic and what a project it was. But there's one tiny piece of the puzzle still missing, and that's the appropriate lock. So let's tackle that. I have acquired a lock which I will be using for this. It is this Arbos lock right here. The keys look cute. The whole lock is nice. It's got some angles, got some patterns.
But there's 3 key issues here that need to be addressed. First, obviously the purple needs to come off. Second, it needs to be black. And third, the logo needs to go and something else has to go in its place. Just the piece of bone was a bit too boring for me, so I carved the word Mahal in Kirth runes into it. And Mahal means the maker, and is also the Kustul name for Aule the smith. So I think all of those things fit together quite nicely.